Hi, this is Food, all you never wanted to know. And today we're going to learn about how to seed save cucumbers. Okay? Now, I did talk a little bit a few days ago about seed saving peppers, and I mentioned this book. Okay? This is Seed to Seed by Suzanne Ashworth. It's an excellent reference book if you're interested in learning how to seed save. Okay? And just in case you think, I mentioned that this was the second edition. Well, I had the first edition, and as you can see, I beat this thing to a pulp. So when the second edition came out, I don't know if very much is different or not, but I decided it was time to get a new one. So anyway, I already did one this morning. If you can see in there, there's a lot of junk in there, and I'll show you where that came from, okay? This is a very poor specimen, so I'm just doing this for the purpose of teaching you how to do it, okay? This is a China Jade cucumber. We had a bunch of beautiful China Jade cucumbers earlier this year, and they are this long. They don't do this, okay? They're long and they're about that wide, and they're very, very nice. They're not bitter. If you have a cucumber and it's bitter, throw it away, because that bitterness is actually not good for you. So we're going to cut this end off and ignore that and hope that this will be a good demonstration of what I'm trying to show you. So carefully cut this apart. I'm trying not to cut completely into the seeds. I pry this apart. These are beautiful seeds. All right. So then what you do, and maybe I should actually have a container for this part. You can scrape all the pulp. It's really gelatinous. It's really juicy. It would taste horrible. And I didn't mention, obviously, you let it go way past the edible stage. This is not one of those seed-saving endeavors where you can have your cake and eat it too. The peppers, you can. You can take the seeds out when the peppers are ripe and eat the pepper, but not with this. You would not want to eat this. So anyway, so you get all the seeds and the pulp, all the juicy, liquidy stuff, into a bowl or something. I would have used a bowl if I thought of that a second ago, but anyway. And this you'll put in the compost pile. You do this with both sides. I'm trying not to get squirted. Maybe the cameraman will get squirted. What do you think? Anyway, okay. So as much of that in there as possible, okay? And then you're going to take, I like to do jars. Other people use different things. See if I can do this from the direction. Pour it into a jar or a glass or a cup or something that you won't be needing for the next week, a few days to a week. Now, right now it's in the fall, and it's kind of cool, and we keep our house pretty cool. But if it's in the summer and you're doing this, which would have made a lot more sense, you can keep that probably at room temperature for 3 days possibly. What you want this to do is it begins to rot. Now that sounds awful. You do this with tomatoes too, if you're seed saving tomatoes. And maybe I'll get to do that this year. Maybe I might wait till next year for that. But as the seeds rot, the pulp separates from the seeds. It gets off of the seeds. It rots off the seeds. And not only that, but it helps get rid of any diseases that might be in those seeds, especially with tomatoes. And so you're going to let that rot down for, I don't know how many days it will take for these. I always put a piece of paper towel over the top with a rubber band. That's just my own technique. They didn't say to do that in the book. But I like to do that because it keeps things from splashing out. It keeps the little gnatty bugs from appearing and wanting to get in there. And also maybe it keeps a little bit of the smell away. It will begin to smell not so good. So just be aware of that. And when it gets a little rotty and a little bit of mold starts to form on the top there, you know that it's ready. And twice a day you should just come by, and they say stir. I don't stir. I go swish, 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 swish. I just do that, okay? Just to mix it up a little bit. And then when you've reached that point and everything's good, I take a very fine mesh strainer and you throw the seeds, pour the seeds into there, goop and all, and you use a very hard spray on the sink to spray through the seeds. And I always have a spoon and I'm gently pushing on the seeds. And we'll show this next year when we do tomato seeds. I always push, push, push. Sometimes if they're big pieces of things, I'll pull them out by hand. But pretty much when you're done with that, you should have nice, clean looking seeds. And then you bump it on like paper towel or something to get some of the moisture off. And you can either have a plate. I like something that has an edge so they won't fall. I always pop them off onto a plate or a dish, something where they're not going to fall. And then I spread them out as much as I can, either with my fingers or with a spoon.
Do you have a paper towel in that plate?
No, no. I try to make sure that enough of the moisture is dripped off that it's not going to be an issue. Within just a day or two, they're going to be looking pretty dry. It'll help during that time if you can stir them up a little bit or break them up from each other if they're sticking to one another. And you just let them sit someplace. Do not put them in the sun. Put them in a corner, someplace that's not going to be bothered and not going to be knocked. And something else that I always do is I take a little sticker or piece of paper and I tape it to the edge with the variety name, because you'll be surprised. You might be saving seeds from 6 different tomatoes and then go, oh great, what variety was that? So it's super important to do that. And then when you store those seeds, put them in a Ziploc bag or a paper packet in a jar. Once you're sure they're totally dry. When they're dry, they should be brittle. They should break if you try to bend them. And I usually put that jar in the refrigerator. We have an extra refrigerator downstairs. And they will store for a very long time. This book claims that with perfect conditions, cucumber seeds will store for 10 years. I don't know if that's true. I haven't tried that. But in any case, this is definitely something that is worth trying. Now, one caveat with that is you need to have no other cucumber plants within 1/2 mile of you to be able to do this. If you have another variety that you're growing, or you have a neighbor who might be growing cucumbers, and you can ask them and find out, you can do something called blossom bagging, where you hand pollinate the blossoms yourself. And this book gives a good description of how to do that. Or you could go online. Another good resource, again, is the Seed Savers Exchange. You can look at their website and see different ways to save seeds. You want to keep these apart from others because they do not self-pollinate. They will cross-pollinate with the bees that are flying around. So this is a wonderful thing to do, because if you can't buy seeds next year for some reason or other, you can always go back and grow something that you've prepared for yourself. And this is Food All You Never Wanted to Know. Please like, share, subscribe. Take care.